Listen, there's no time. We gotta talk about New Super Mario Bros. In the decade following Super Mario 64, our plumber pal had one new mainline adventure on the GameCube and a bevy of portable ports on the Game Boy Advance, so this first installment in what would become a new quadrilogy was a welcome return to the franchise's roots that brought the classic formula to a new generation. It was the first to take the wall jump, triple jump, and ground pound mechanics from the 3D titles into a 2D space and introduce new power-ups like the Mini Mushroom, Mega Mushroom, and repurposed Blue Shell. Of course, the visual style that defined this collection of titles was established here as well, albeit a bit pixelated by today's standards. Now that the framework wasn't bound by the limitations of the Super Nintendo, the team was able to redefine what could be done in its 2D spaces with more dynamic camera and physics-based interactions. Music was also lightly integrated into the gameplay with simple chimes influencing enemy patterns. Factor in a variety of new and returning bosses, a bevy of minigames, and a frenetic versus mode, and it was a pretty unforgettable game. But where the DS original broke the mold and established new mechanics for this style of platformer, you could say its sequel set a new one that cast its successors. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga gave the Koopalings some time in the limelight in the middle of an otherwise extended absence, but New Super Mario Bros. Wii was the first game to ultimately cement their return. The game's new score also became the blueprint for the titles to follow, and the debut of main story multiplayer would become a staple of the series going forward. The game introduced the Propeller Mushroom, Ice Flower, and Penguin Suit, which brought in more verticality and environmental interactions, and brought in the enemy stages that originated in Super Mario Bros. 3 as well. It also ushered in motion-based mechanics with tilt-centric platforms and the shake-triggered spin jump. Toad saw their second playable platformer appearance in Super Mario Bros. 2 with blue and yellow variants too, and while it was only for select stages, Yoshi made a comeback boasting his trademark flutter jump. So overall, you could say the team really did a lot to take this series to the next level. 3 years later, New Super Mario Bros. 2 brought the quadrilogy back to handhelds and framed the experience around collecting coins. It brought in new mechanics to facilitate this focus too. Gold rings that change the property of enemies like Koopas to make their shells leave behind collectible trails, for example, and exclamation pipes that convert fireballs into profit. Gold flowers that turn what their giant fireballs touch into coins made their debut here too, as did the roulette coin blocks that dish out larger coins and the gold blocks that could be hit to generate gold in motion. A coin rush mode was added as well, which would have players take on a quick gauntlet of stages to set coin-based records, and it marked the series' first foray into paid DLC with stage packs. The game launched during the Raccoon Renaissance and ushered in the return of the Super Leaf like 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 before it. Reznors of Super Mario World fame also made their return and occupied the game's fortresses. Suffice it to say, this entry took the idea of a gold standard and ran with it. Rounding out the quadrilogy and launching hot off the heels of its portable predecessor, New Super Mario Bros. U was the series' debut on HD hardware and offered asynchronous multiplayer courtesy of the Wii U gamepad. It built an identity of its own by introducing an interconnected overworld map for all the game's named levels and featured a challenge mode to put players of all skill levels to the test. The game also boasted a hefty DLC expansion through New Super Luigi U that would later come bundled with the base game and its deluxe port on the Nintendo Switch. In addition to the return of Yoshi as we knew him, Baby Yoshis joined the fray with their own unique mechanics like blowing bubbles, floating around, and lighting up pathways, and could be brought into any level from the overworld. New Super Mario Bros. U also marked the first appearance of Nabbit, who could be chased down and caught in stages for modest rewards, as well as the Super Acorn that grant the gliding capabilities of a Waddle Wing. All that to say, the game makes for a rather deluxe experience. Oh, and it looks like we're out of time. Thanks for watching, folks and friends. I hope you learned a little something, or just enjoyed this quick trek down memory lane. If you got a minute, why not join me in the comments and share some of your memories with the New Super Mario Bros. Series? I'd love to hear your favorite from the batch too, but if you're not feeling it, I've got plenty of other videos to check out. Give them a gander.